So, Councilman, before I want to mention the judge has a wonderful bailiff, Anthony Parker, and the reason I say that, he's doing a lot of big things in the community. He's a pastor, he gives back, so you can tell a judge often by the team they have. So I just want to acknowledge that you have a wonderful team. So Anthony, keep up the good work. And speaking of that, I have an excellent team too. My bailiff here, Bailiff Sanders, is with me. And if you are one of the seniors who put your name on the list for snow removal, you probably saw us come by this week along with Bailiff Sanders, who runs that program. So when we service East Cleveland, all the programs I have, whether it's the Finish First program, the Cycle Breaker program, the snow removal, Adopt a Block, all of that stuff, I call this man to help us out. And he was born and raised in East Cleveland also. So thank you, Bailiff Sanders, for your assistance.
Give a round of applause, okay?
So can I speak real quick? I know. All right. Charlie, you want to say? Oh, you were speaking. Okay.
The other judge.
Okay. So really quick, Councilman Martin had invited me here and gave me kind of some of the things he wanted me to hit on. So what I want to do, if you've been to the courtroom, and I don't believe many of you have been there, you would know that whenever I get a chance to teach and to try to empower, I do that. So this part, I'm going to make it really brief because judges and lawyers can talk forever. But this part is right up my alley because I try my best to provide some type of empowerment. When you come in my courtroom, you will see a message board we have there. Every month I change it because if you're going to sit there before the court starts, I want you to see something positive. I've recently started running a video that plays while you're sitting there also with the messages of empowerment, whether it's encouraging you to be a leader, encouraging you to change your habits, all of that stuff. That's what you get when you come in my courtroom. So a couple of things, Councilman. We're talking about the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, and Councilman Martin wanted me to touch on the use of excessive force by police officers, unemployment, and lack of community commitment. Now, what I did was, and I hope he doesn't mind, is I took it from a different perspective being a judge. And I wanted to look at it from how Dr. King would feel about some of the things that are going on in our community and some of the things I talk about. So really quickly, 3 things I see every day that we need to get together to solve as a community, not just East Cleveland, but beyond, is one, there's becoming a greater lack of responsibility. The people that our people have a lack of responsibility. We have, unfortunately, a lack of integrity, as well as no concern for our legacy. And that's what I see every day in our court, and those are the cycles that I'm trying to break. So really quick, when I talk about responsibility, one of the things that we are responsible for as a community is, one, to inform and raise our children in a way that they are safe and that they are respectful so that they don't end up in those situations of excessive force and things like that. What I see often is a lack of respect for authority. I see it in the courtroom when young men come in and they call me man. You know, how you doing, Judge, man? I mean, I hear that when I have to correct them on that. And it's not so much for me because I understand our language, I understand our positions, but it's more so to prepare them so that when they go downtown, they don't say the same thing or they don't disrespect another judge who may not have as much compassion. So it's about a respect for authority. Same thing with our children and their teachers. Same thing with people on the streets and dealing with police officers. And even sometimes us adults have the same situations. So we have to take more responsibility for how we're raising our children and how we're acting in our community. When it comes to integrity, one thing that you'll see is that we are losing integrity. And I must admit, a lot of times in our leadership. You know, it's interesting. I tell people all the time, you know, this is my first time I ran for judge. I never held any other office. And I'm often kind of dismayed by the political environment. But I understand their politics and everything. But what I expect from not only our political leaders, but our leaders in the community, our citizens, our residents, is integrity in the way we conduct ourselves every day. Because I think if we begin to see integrity in our leadership, then we can trust what's happening in our communities. So that's one thing I think Dr. King would be disappointed with, the lack of integrity from our leaders. So that's something else we need to work on. And then the last thing I want to mention, because I don't want to turn this into a speech, you can get that in the courtroom, is our legacy. We need to be more concerned about our legacy. And how do we do that? We make sure that we're teaching the ones that are coming up behind us, or that we're at least leading by example. So I tell people all the time, when they say, Judge, we're hearing crazy things about East Cleveland and blah, blah, blah. One thing that I'm committed to, and I don't mind saying this on the record, is that I have 2 children. And I know that I'm responsible for them. I want my daughter and my son to be able to always say, my father did the right thing. I am so concerned about my legacy because that's all I have. My mother raised me here in East Cleveland, had an excellent name. She retired from the McGregor home. She left a good legacy. My brother, he's on TV. He's been on TV for 30 years at the same station, which is unheard of. He's establishing a legacy. So I'll be darned if Judge Dawson messes around with what I want to establish for my children. And I think we should all have that attitude. And I think Dr. King would expect that. As much work as he did, as much as he endured, he would want us to care about our legacy. So, that's all I really wanted to leave you with. I don't want to turn this into as I mentioned, a Judge Dawson speech. But what I did do, I do have these cards that I made because I was so outraged with what's going on in our community. It's called How to Avoid Negative Interaction with the Police and Legal System. It says Part 3. That's because Part 1 and Part 2 I did while I was an attorney, trying to help people stay out the legal system. So I did another card, and it just has some tips. Because my thing is all about personal responsibility. There are people that we need in position to lobby. There are those we need to protest, and I respect them. There are those we need to write new laws. I'm on the end of personal development. So I want to help us make the changes we need to make so that we will survive. So when you talk to me, I'm going to tell you how to interact with the police officers so you don't have to get shot. Someone else will march, someone else will protest, someone else will object to the laws, but I'm going to tell you how to survive that interaction so that you go home that evening. Everything else can be fought later. So it's key about a time and a place. So pick up one of the cards before you leave. This is just some of the stuff that we provide at the court. I thank you for your time as usual. I love you, I respect you, and I am so honored to be your judge. Thank you.